Welcome to Novel Love Hearing. Get ready for heart-pounding action, thrilling adventures with fresh and unique elements, a touch of romance, and a dash of harem. Everything you're craving is right here. We're excited to have you join us on this journey. So come along to Novel Love Hearing, we're waiting for you. As a small favor, please consider sharing Novel Love Hearing with your friends, family, in YouTube comments, on Discord, Reddit, or anywhere else you hang out online. Happy listening, and enjoy the ride. Mouth ulcer? Doesn't matter. Got it. 197, 198, 199, 200. The last four carried out were the human assassins under Inmu's command. They were tightly bound, with rags stuffed in their mouths. Rengoku bro, we'll leave these guys to you. Don't worry, young man. I'll give them a good lesson. Bwahahahaha. Rengoku Kyojuro laughed heartily, hands on hips. Just then, a little girl with a bun hairstyle ran over and handed Rengoku Kyojuro a malt candy stick. Big brother, thank you. Mom said you protected us. Rengoku Kyojuro crouched down and gently patted the girl's head, saying warmly, it wasn't me, it was that big brother who protected you. He pointed to Chizhou with a smile and said, give this to that big brother. The little girl obediently ran to Chizhou and held up the malt candy stick. Chizhou saw this, didn't refuse, and bent down to take it. He raised a brow. Gratitude-filled malt candy can open a level 7 treasure chest, so that's how you get the key. Chapter 192, Paradise Island Train Departing. Please sit tight and hold on. After obtaining the key, Chizhou didn't linger and departed immediately. The latest departure time was also approaching. In the bedroom, Chizhou took out a level 7 treasure chest dropped after slaying Inmu. When the malt candy touched the gray orb, it instantly melted, smearing over the 7 eyes on the orb. When the last eye was covered, the gray orb cracked into 4 pieces. 70 train coins clattered out, along with a golden pendant. It was the Nightmare Pendant. Despite the name, Nightmare Pendant, it looked surprisingly beautiful. This pendant was crafted from pure gold, including the chain. Its size and shape were almost identical to a train coin. Both sides bore ghost face engravings, exquisitely crafted. One side was a male ghost, the other a female ghost. Nightmare Pendant increases the wearer's mental strength and resistance to various negative mental effects. To you, my dream, active skill. On hitting a target, drags the opponent into the dream the wearer last experienced. Must store a new dream before it can be used again. Such a bizarre active skill. It pulls the enemy into my last dream? So, the scarier my dream, the stronger the effect? This trip, he didn't just gain a Nightmare Pendant and 70 train coins, he also learned a new skill, flame breathing. On top of that, after the repeated suicide experiences inside Inmu's dream, Chizhou clearly felt his mental strength improve. He called over Li Huizi and Zijian to help him run tests. Now, making the glowing silk stockings disappear was as easy as deleting ordinary clothes. And with the pendant of the Goddess of Wisdom equipped, he could use the skill completely stress-free. In contrast, erasing the black silk on Zijian consumed noticeably more mental strength. Since it was a storage item, after all. Chizhou tossed the broken Nichiren blade he used against Akaza to Zijian. He had picked it back up afterward. Bro, this Nichiren blade's fake, right? Someone scammed you and sold you a knockoff? No way. Why's Huizi's blade totally fine then? Totally fine? It's discolored already. The Nichiren blade in Li Huizi's hand was now pink and white. You could faintly see cherry blossom petals etched into the blade. Zijian. If you're trying to screw me, just say it. No need to beat around the bush. Get it refunded, or have the guy replace it with a new one. Knew it, you're up to no good. What else can I do? 10 train coins, man. It breaks this easily, and he still charges that much, he better cover after sales. Fine, fine, I'll go find him. Zijian immediately summoned her screen and tracked down the seller, arguing with him fiercely. Seeing this, Chizhou coached her from the side, tell him I'm with the capture division of Orderly Heaven. He's suspected of selling faulty blades. If he doesn't provide support, we'll investigate him. Zijian looked at Chizhou with a deadpan expression. You serious? Yeah, totally serious. Chizhou pulled out his savings card and handed it to Zijian. Put it on the listing. If he doesn't believe you, show him this. Zijian followed Chizhou's instructions, and in the end, the guy really agreed to send a replacement. Gotta admit, sometimes the name of Orderly Heaven worked wonders. Chizhou got the new Nichiren blade, gave it a few swings, and nodded in satisfaction. Then he closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Flame breathing. In the next instant, the Nichiren blade in his hand began to turn red. Flame-like patterns emerged along the blade. Li Huizi's eyes sparkled with a strange glow. Because she could feel that Chizhou's breathing technique had changed. It was the same breathing technique she had studied since childhood. This was a method used to enhance physical ability, collectively called total concentration breathing. Its main function was to strengthen heart and lung capacity, enabling the bloodstream to absorb a large amount of oxygen in a short time, massively boosting physical capabilities, temporarily bringing them to a level comparable to demons. Qi Zhao was still using ordinary breathing techniques before. How did he suddenly master this skill? Li Huizi herself had taken 6 full years to master the breathing style. And clearly, Qi Zhao's version was even more advanced. It looked just like Rengoku Kyoju's flame breathing. This was the form most closely aligned with the original sun breathing among all techniques. During this journey, her breathing had advanced to the flower breathing stage. But she didn't expect Qi Zhao to have already mastered flame breathing. How on earth did he pull that off? Looking at Qi Zhao playing with a niche iron blade, Li Huizi's beautiful eyes were full of shock. Can't use moves inside the train. What if I accidentally slice it apart? That'd be a problem. Qi Zhao played with the niche iron blade for a while, then stored it in the boundary bracelet. He then summoned the screen to check how much travel experience he'd accumulated this trip. Travel experience, 86%, great, just 14% short of the level 31 requirement. Makes sense. Even though the stay wasn't super long, he had changed a major turning point in the Demon Slayer world. With Rengoku Kyojo surviving, the upcoming final battle in the Infinity Castle might turn out very differently. More people might live. That battle had truly been brutal. Qi Zhao collected his scattered thoughts and closed his personal info screen. Time to check where the next stop would be. Upcoming stop, Paradise Island, single-player station. Latest departure time from this stop, 36 hours after arrival. Upon arrival, passengers will be randomly teleported to any location on Paradise Island. They'll be transported back to the train before it departs. The island is inhabited by many exotic beasts that prey on humans. Danger level, 7. In the castle at the island's center lies a sleeping princess. Her hairpin can open a level 6 treasure chest. Attached info. Paradise Island map. Paradise Island Exotic Beast Illustrated Guide Chapter 193, Preparations before landing Paradise Island. A station without a treasure chest, and the danger level is still level 7? The 2.0 version of Treasure Hunter isn't that great after all. Well, the probability still hasn't reached 100%. Qi Zhao opened the attached information. This Paradise Island stood alone in a deep sea. Aside from a beach on the east coast, the other 3 sides were all towering cliffs. Atop a hill rising in the center of the island stood a castle. Other than that, the island was covered in dense forest. After checking the map, Qi Zhao opened the Exotic Beasts Compendium. It recorded detailed entries of all kinds of exotic beasts on the island, including their names, dietary preferences, activity times and locations, attack methods, weaknesses, and more. With both images and text, it looked very vivid and engaging. The exotic beasts on Paradise Island, big and small, totaled over 100 types. From giant octo-elephants to corpse-eating ants, all shapes and forms. Inside the castle, there was even the strongest humanoid exotic beast, and it had a team system. They could cooperate using tactics like humans. And after night fell on Paradise Island, exotic beasts came out in even greater numbers to hunt humans on the island. Qi Zhao sucked in a cold breath. No wonder the danger level was 7. He wasn't afraid himself, but the problem was that the station forecast said passengers would be randomly teleported to any corner of Paradise Island. Which meant that most likely, they'd be scattered. And that would be a big problem. Li Huizi and Lao Li were okay. One could protect herself, and the other could turn invisible and run fast. The real trouble was Zijian. She was just a normal person, completely defenseless against exotic beasts. The key point was she had the station reward module. She was an essential ally for Qi Zhao. So, absolutely nothing could happen to her. Time to get ready before landing. Luckily, it was only 6 o'clock now, with more than a day left before they landed. Qi Zhao immediately exported the map and exotic beast atlas and sent them to Zijian. You all look over this later. It'll be useful tomorrow. Study it carefully. Best if you can memorize it. Then, Qi Zhao started buying and distributing the items. First was storage items. He had given the Goddess of Night's Mercy, also known as the Black Silk, to Zijian and never asked for it back. After all, if you weren't wearing the black silk, you had to reach in and dig for each stored item one by one. Not very convenient to use. Besides the boundary bracelet and the bonded ring given by Konyu, Qi Zhao still had one other storage item. The scented sachet, golden gourd. This thing came with 100 cubic meters of storage space. Although it wasn't as handy as the boundary bracelet, it was definitely better than the black silk in comparison. After thinking it over, Qi Zhao stuffed an unlimited ammo shotgun, high explosives, fully automatic rifle, and a Matilda pistol into the golden gourd, equipped with the corresponding ammo and magazines. In addition, Zhao also stuffed in 3 basic healing potions and 2 basic antidotes. After finishing all that, he hung the golden gourd around Lao Yu's neck and taught Lao Yu how to use the golden gourd. If you want anything else, go ahead and try collecting it yourself. Got it, conductor? Lao Yu happily fiddled with the sachet and went off to the rear supply carriage to go shopping. Watching what Zhao was doing, Zijian looked confused. What's going on? Is this a farewell? With Lao Yu sorted, Zhao took out 3 dice and a card, handing them to Zijian. After thinking it through, the Crimson Dice and Dark Magician Girl Monster card were the easiest to use, also the best suited for a normal person like Zijian. Farewell? If it were a farewell, I wouldn't be handing things out, I'd be collecting them back. Damn. Zijian curled her lip and rolled her eyes. After teaching Zijian how to use the Crimson Dice and summon the Dark Magician Girl, her eyes lit up and she immediately gave it a try. She held the 3 dice in her palm, shook them for a while, and then suddenly tossed them out. The dice clattered onto the carriage floor. The first die to stop rolling showed a 6. The second die also a 6. The third one was still spinning. Zhao couldn't help but look over. 2 6s in a row already. Would the third be a 6 too? You know, rolling 3 6s meant summoning the Crimson Lord. A 1-inch minus 216 chance. Zhao had never rolled it before. Could this girl really land it on the first try? Da. The final die stopped. 6. Zijian actually rolled triple 6s. The 3 dice seemed to sense something and began to resonate and converge. In an instant, a figure appeared before them. This Crimson Lord was shaped like a normal human, bald, with a neutral facial structure. It was hard to tell its gender. Though its body was unclothed, it lacked any sexual features. Its proportions were simply excellent. The most eye-catching feature was its size. Each eye contained 3 Taiji fish, slowly rotating. One glance, and you'd be dizzy and dazed. Well? Isn't your big sister awesome? Zijian stood hands on hips, brimming with confidence. It's just 3. The next second, Zijian's vision went black, and she fainted. As Zijian collapsed, the Crimson Lord also vanished instantly, reverting to the dice. Zhao hurried to catch her. Li Huizi also helped him support Zijian. She's fine, just fainted. After laying her back on the bed, Zhao picked up the Crimson Dice. This girl's physical condition was just too poor, she couldn't bear the burden of summoning the Crimson Lord. So she passed out. You have to know, the Crimson Beast summoned by the Crimson Dice requires the user to endure 1/10 of its stamina drain. The Crimson Lord was merely standing there, and even that was too much for Zijian. On one hand, Zijian was truly weak, on the other, it showed how powerful the Crimson Lord really was. With Zijian fine, Zhao turned to Li Huizi. On this train, besides himself, she ranked 2nd in overall strength. Li Huizi's personal abilities were decent, though Zhao didn't have anything particularly suitable for her. What she lacked the most now was probably a storage item. But those were really rare. The trading platform only had a few, and none that Zhao could afford. So, for now, she'd have to make do. Of course, Li Huizi herself didn't really mind. Zhao rummaged through his belongings and finally pulled out a pair of pink running shoes. It was the same pair of running shoes he'd previously given to Li Huizi. Take this. At least it'll give you a speed boost. Li Huizi took the running shoes and gave a bright smile. Thanks, Chicken Zhao. Chapter 194, Paradise Island filled with exotic beasts the next day. Remember what I said. If we're not together, survival comes first. Zijian, especially you make sure to protect yourself. Yeah, I'll play it safe. Besides, didn't you give me gear? Zhao nodded. Just don't get too lucky and roll 3 6s again. That would make me awesome. Quick, it's almost time. At Zhao's shout, the 4 of them hugged tightly together. To prevent getting separated, Zhao even wrapped a quilt around them from the outside. He wanted to test whether that could help them teleport to the same place. If it worked, that would be ideal. At 7:50, the prompt sounded right on time. Train has arrived. Please stay seated and hold on. The next moment, a flash of light filled the carriage. The quilt floated gently to the floor, and the figures of Zhao and the others had already disappeared. Only the black wind monster and little fire dragon were left in the carriage. One dog and one dragon looked at each other, both utterly confused. Then, the black wind monster barked twice, ran behind the little fire dragon, and started licking furiously with its tongue. Just as the train arrived at the platform, Zhao's figure appeared on a beach. Looking around, he was the only one there. TSK, they got split up after all. As expected, it was individual random teleportation. But that's fine, there's a backup plan. Zhao pulled out his claw machine, mobile phone, and switched to local mode. This device only worked properly in Yurden and Seun, where signal towers had been set up. And it didn't work cross-region. Meaning, you couldn't contact Yurden from Zune. And in other places, there was no signal at all. However, it had another mode, local mode. As long as two claw machines were within 3 kilometers, they could communicate simply. This is Chizhou. I'm on the eastern beach. Please respond. This is Chizhou. I'm on the eastern beach. Please respond. This is Chizhou. I'm on the eastern beach. Please respond. Chizhou called 3 times in a row. No one replied. Seems like I'm alone within 3 kilometers. Chizhou put away the claw machine and walked inland along the beach, sticking to the original plan to head toward the island's center. As long as everyone did the same, they'd eventually meet. After about 10 minutes, Chizhou was blocked by a cliff. It was a sheer cliff wall, over 300 meters high. For an ordinary person, completely unclimbable. Anyone else would have given up and searched for another path. But not Chizhou. He didn't need a detour. Chizhou took out a jar from the boundary bracelet. Its LCD screen showed 60% remaining energy. He took out a train coin and inserted it into the slot. Once the nanobugs were fully charged, a stream of silver flowed out under Chizhou's control and gathered beneath his feet. The cliff, so daunting and impossible to others, was nothing in front of Chizhou. Good thing it was him who got teleported here. Anyone else on the train likely couldn't escape. After nightfall here, a swarm of man-eating crabs would come ashore. That would be real trouble. Chizhou stepped onto the nanobugs and rose steadily. He moved slowly because a dozen phantom gulls were circling in the sky not far away. Phantom gulls, one of the exotic beasts of Paradise Island. Their bodies were jet black, like ink-drenched crows. But their heads were bright red, with 4 eyes growing on them. Their cries were harsh, like raspy old dogs, and very disturbing. Their beaks were shaped like steel needles, razor sharp. They could easily pierce a human skull to suck out brain matter. If a human was spotted, they would chase and corner them. And worse, they'd call for reinforcements, attracting all nearby phantom gulls. So getting spotted by one meant getting targeted by a whole flock. Extremely dangerous. Chizhou flew slowly, holding the ZZ pistol in his hand. If anything went wrong, he'd shoot instantly. Gunfire might attract more phantom gulls, but there'd be no choice. Roughly 3 minutes later, Chizhou reached the top of the cliff safely. As soon as he reached the top, he saw the towering hill in the island center. And the cold, dark castle sitting atop it. The station forecast said a sleeping princess was in that castle. Her hairpin could open a level 6 treasure chest. The hill and Black Castle were very prominent. No matter where you stood on the island, one glance up and you'd see them. Well, except the beach where Chizhou started. So there's no chance of going in the wrong direction. Chizhou originally planned to keep flying. It offered a broader view and made finding Lao Yu and the others easier. But with so many phantom gulls overhead, he had to give up and switch to walking. He didn't expect to get anything useful from this stop, just hoped everyone stayed safe. Especially Zaji, and she was just a normal person. Even though she had a few items, there was no guarantee she'd stay safe. Nothing can happen to her. I haven't gotten the station reward yet. Sunlight filtered through the dense forest, casting dappled light and shadow. Lao Yu held his claw machine high, frantically searching for a signal. He had already followed Chizhou's instructions and switched to local mode. This is Lao Yu. This is Lao Yu. Anyone there? Please respond. This is Lao Yu. This is Lao Yu. Anyone there? Please respond. No reply. Lao Yu fiddled with the device in frustration, frowning and scratching his head. What the heck, I followed the conductor's steps exactly. Why is no one responding? Did I set something wrong? Or am I really alone out here? Lao Yu took a deep breath. Whatever. The conductor said head for the center, so let's go. He tucked the claw machine into his waistband. Just then, a strange creature blocked his path. It had the body of a wild boar but a head like a fly. Its 2 fist-sized compound eyes darted around, examining Lao Yu crazily. The worst part, its body was covered in red pustules. Those pustules pulsed slightly, like volcanoes about to erupt. It was the pustule fly boar. It was in the atlas the conductor gave. Ugh! Seeing it in person was even grosser than the pictures. The pus it sprayed could dissolve a human, completely turn them into a puddle of goo to slurp up. Anyone touched by that pus would end up nothing but bones. The pustule fly boar raised its head and inhaled deeply, its valley ballooning. Next second, all its pustules burst, spraying yellowish-white pus. Oh no, run! Seeing this, Lao Yu bolted without looking back. Don't chase me, okay? Li Huizi let out a long breath and sheathed her blade. At her feet lay a headless chicken corpse. As for the head, Li Huizi had sliced it clean off. The chicken was massive, over a meter tall. Its 2 legs were thick and strong. When it ran, it was like a gust of wind. When it jumped, it easily cleared 8 feet. And its claws razor sharp. They could tear through a human chest with ease and peck out the heart. Its attack style was to leap, then drive both claws straight at the heart. Li Huizi had put in serious effort to kill it. She had no choice, the thing was just too fast. Even she couldn't outrun it. Once safe, Li Huizi didn't let her guard down. She stayed alert while pulling out her claw machine. But after a few attempts still no one replied. Chapter 195, Killing Beasts for Fertilizer. Zijian leaned against a tree, rubbing her hair with both hands, eyes wide open. Damn. Damn. Damn, I really got separated from them. That bastard Qizhou, he can fight, run, and hide. Liu Liu can go invisible, Huizi slashes through monsters like vegetables, and me? Fuck. 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 There's no one within 3 kilometers either, and this island is huge. What the hell am I supposed to do? Jiao. Right, the dice. Zijian pulled out the crimson dice, just about to toss it and summon a bodyguard, but pulled her hand back. No, Qizhou said the bodyguard summoned by this thing can only last up to 8 hours. And the cooldown time is 24 hours. I'm not even in danger right now. Using it now would be a total waste. Nope, can't use it. Zijian put away the crimson dice and took out the Dark Magician Girl monster card. Using this card requires a life sacrifice. Fuck, where am I supposed to find something to sacrifice? Forget it, good thing these stockings still have some guns stashed. Following the original plan, Zijian continued heading toward the island's central castle while constantly checking her claw machine for any incoming calls. Just then, a black shadow grabbed a tree trunk and nimbly swung down from above, blocking Zijian's path. It was a monkey with long arms, wearing a yellow dress. Zijian, with her insane memorization skills, had memorized the exotic beasts compendium Qizhou sent her overnight. Just one glance, and she recognized the exotic beast before her clothes-stripping monkey. The clothes-stripping monkey had a pink monkey face, dreamy eyes, and always wore a perverted expression. It was about 80 centimeters long, arms so long they dragged on the ground. Clothes-stripping monkeys were the hardest beasts to deal with outside of the humanoid ones in the castle. They're agile and have intelligence no less than that of humans. Anyone targeted by one would at least lose one article of clothing. The simplest way to deal with it is to throw it a piece of clothing willingly. Once it gets the clothing, the clothes-stripping monkey will back off. Otherwise, you have to kill it with brute force. But if someone has no clothes left, it triggers their second form skinning monkey. At that point, it bulks up to several times its original size. All muscle, insanely savage, specializes in skinning people. Skinning monkeys won't rest until they've skinned their target. They like to crawl into the skinned human's flesh and pretend to be human. Zijian swallowed hard. Good thing it's a clothes-stripping monkey, a beast with rules. If it had been a pustule flyboar or fake dish chicken, it'd be way more dangerous. The monkey in front of her was wearing a long yellow dress that didn't fit at all. Who knows which poor soul it had attacked for that. The clothes-stripping monkey's eyes lit up as it stared at the black silk on Zijian's legs. Strip. 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 It kept repeating the word strip as it charged towards Zijian. Just as it raised a hand to tear off her black silk, Zijian quickly threw it a pair of yellow tights. These yellow tights were one of Hidden Thread's many hoarded items. Originally, Zijian had pulled them all out to get rid of them. But after seeing the entry for clothes-stripping monkey last night, she put them all back. Who would have thought they'd actually come in handy? The clothes-stripping monkey, pleased with the yellow tights, no longer attacked Zijian. It expertly pulled the tights onto its legs, even though its legs weren't long at all. Zijian put her hands on her hips and laughed. How's that? Pretty nice of your big sis, right? Picked a yellow pair to match your dress. Ha 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 ha. Alright, have fun. Big sis is leaving. Zijian stepped past the clothes-stripping monkey and walked ahead. But up ahead in the forest, a group of black shadows leapt out, all shouting, strip. 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 Fuck. Zijian frantically tossed out stockings as she sprinted toward the island's center. Inside the yellow train, Qizhou tossed a freshly slain hanging-eyed rabbit into the auto compost bin. The hanging-eyed rabbit was another exotic beast from Paradise Island. Its eyes bulged outward, and its 2 front teeth could chew through steel plates. They're also great at digging holes and usually stay hidden underground. If they sense a human above, they burst out and go straight for the throat. But this one had already died under Qizhou's sword. As fast as it was, could it be faster than word spirit, times 0? The auto-compost bin converts kitchen waste. The more varied, rare, and abundant the ingredients, the more magical multi-use fertilizer it produces. An entire bucket of vegetables and 1/5 a bucket of regular meat yield roughly the same output. But this one exotic beast alone produced even more than a full bucket of ordinary meat. No doubt it was a true exotic beast. Once the hanging-eyed rabbit had been processed, Only its sharp rabbit teeth remained in the bin. Chizhao stored the auto-compost bin back into his boundary bracelet and continued on. His bracelet was now level 2, tier 4. It had 4 special storage slots, holding 2 trains. And this yellow train had 2 auto-compost bins, which Chizhao had brought along deliberately. This train was logged into using Li Huizi's account. Chizhao had her login back in Zune. He had even transferred some basic supplies to it to fuel the bins. Sigh, if not for the danger, turning exotic beasts into magical multi-use fertilizer would actually be a pretty sweet gig. The peach tree's growth had slowed down recently. As it got bigger, it needed more and more fertilizer, and even the auto-veggie farming machine was falling behind. Gotta find a way to get more magical multi-use fertilizer. Along the way, Chizhao killed many aggressive exotic beasts, including but not limited to the 3-headed serpent, ghost-face lynx, and lost hound. Naturally, they all got tossed into the compost bin and turned into fertilizer. Until Chizhao came across a blood-skin tiger. Blood-skin tigers were hairless and smooth like loaches. Originally yellow, their skin turned blood red after eating humans. Each person they ate turned one fist-sized area of skin red. The one blocking Chizhao's path had 99% of its skin turned red, which meant it had eaten a lot of people. The more red skin, the stronger it becomes. If fully transformed, it's no longer a blood-skin tiger, it becomes a blood tiger emperor. The blood tiger emperor had insane vitality and super fast regeneration. Normal attacks couldn't kill it. Even if its limbs were cut off, they'd grow back fast. A terrifying creature. This one only needed one more victim to evolve into the emperor. It was as big as a bull, its tiger eyes fierce and terrifying. Most people would be scared stiff before the fight even began. Grrrrrrrrr. It stared at Chizhao for 3 seconds, then charged straight at him. Chizhao didn't dodge. Next moment, hundreds of blood streaks bloomed on the tiger's body. Tiger blood sprayed everywhere, and feeling the pain only made it faster. They're not afraid of injury or blood loss. The more hurt they get, the stronger and faster they become. But just 3 steps away from reaching Chizhao, it crashed to the ground with a thud. It was the fishbone sword. Its attacks inject a mild paralytic toxin. In just 2 seconds, Chizhao had slashed it over 100 times. Yes, blood-skin tigers aren't afraid of wounds and have insane regeneration, but they're weak to poison. They have no way to detoxify. That's the value of the station forecast. You know your opponent's strengths and weaknesses ahead of time. So all you need to do is target their weak spot. Facing the paralyzed blood-skin tiger lying on the ground, Chizhao pulled out his niche iron blade. He raised the blade high, eyes glowing red, flame-breathing, third form, blazing universe. Chizhao slashed down from above, blade wreathed in flames. Swoosh! The blood-skin tiger's head and body split cleanly in 2. Chapter 196, really not a single one left. This blood-skin tiger was way too big, unlike the previous exotic beasts, which were all small. This one took too long to process, so Chizhao had to store it in his boundary bracelet first. What he needed to do now was find Lao Yu and the others. Chizhao pulled out his claw machine, calling out as usual. This is Chizhao, respond if you hear me. This is Chizhao, respond if you hear me. Still no response. I've walked at least 10 kilometers already, and haven't met a single person. Are we too far apart, or did something happen to them? Chizhao gritted his teeth and released nanobugs to fly into the sky. Once airborne, his travel speed increased dramatically. He kept low altitude and switched his silver combat suit to green to blend in with the forest, making him harder to detect. Soon, Chizhao saw a clothes-stripping monkey in a yellow dress and yellow tights. He frowned. So ugly. Then, he saw more clothes-stripping monkeys. Each of them had a pair of stockings. Some were wearing black suspenders. Some had on pink fishnets. Some even wore white crotchless ones. Dozens of clothes-stripping monkeys in all sorts of colorful, varied styles of stockings were gathered together, making Chizhao click his tongue. Some of them were even comparing outfits, while the onlooking monkeys shrieked with sharp monkey calls. Just then, Chizhao's claw machine rang. This is Zijian, help me. Zijian was riding on a crimson beast, fleeing for her life. This time her 3 dice only totaled 7 points. The summoned crimson beast wasn't strong enough to fight the horde of clothes-stripping monkeys, so it could only run. Stop chasing me already. You perverted monkeys. Zijian yelled as she kept throwing stockings behind her without even looking back. The monkeys didn't fight over them. Whichever monkey grabbed one would stop chasing, while the rest who didn't get any kept coming. After tossing another pair of black silk, Zijian froze. That was it, she had none left. Over 100 stockings, all gone. But the monkeys were still relentlessly chasing her down. Fuck. Can't you freaks just share a pair? Fuck. Help. I'm about to be stripped by monkeys. Help me. Even though the Crimson Beast only used 1/10 of Zijian's stamina, carrying her at full speed was draining. She was about to hit her limit. The Crimson Beast began to slow down. The monkeys didn't care seeing their target slow, they got even more excited. With no stockings left to throw, Zijian pulled out a grenade. Last night, she had reviewed how to use it with Chizhou. It was one of her life-saving tools. Just as she was about to toss it, she stopped. No, the sound would attract even more exotic beasts. Zijian frowned. No, she couldn't use a weapon like this unless it was truly the last resort. Turned out she made the right call. Not far away, a thick phlegm crocodile lay asleep. If it woke up, she wouldn't even leave a corpse behind. Zijian pulled out her claw machine again, calling for help, praying for a miracle. Eventually, exhausted, she fainted. The Crimson Beast turned back into the crimson dice. Strip. 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 The monkeys finally caught up to Zijian. Just as one monkey's hand was about to touch her butt, a cold light flashed. With a whoosh, the monkey's hand flew off. Chizhou stood half a meter off the ground, foot on a nanobug, niche iron blade in hand. Over 30 clothes-stripping monkeys. His eyes turned red, a surge of battle spirit rising. Kill them all. Inside the yellow train, the 2 auto-compost bins worked non-stop. They tirelessly digested the food inside them, producing magical multi-use fertilizer. Chizhou patted Zijian's face. This one had exhausted all her stamina using the crimson dice and had been unconscious for 15 minutes. No, don't strip my clothes. Zijian flailed and screamed, I'm still a chaste maiden, get away from me. You perverted monkeys. It's me. Hearing Chizhou's voice, Zijian slowly opened her frightened eyes and saw a figure in green. Seeing that all her clothes were still on, not a single one missing, tears welled up in her eyes and she lunged at Chizhou. Having survived by the skin of her teeth, she was overwhelmed. What? I almost lost my virginity. Chizhou pushed her away in disgust. You nearly died, and you're worried about that? Chastity is more important than life, don't you know? Those damn monkeys. Bunch of perverts. It's fine. They're all fertilizer now. Huh? Chizhou pointed at the 2 auto-compost bins beside him. Those 2 bins are their final resting place. After resting for a bit, Chizhou put the train away and continued forward with Zijian. Having retrieved this one, the weight in Chizhou's heart was finally lifted. He wasn't too worried about Lao Yu and Li Huizi. One could run, the other could fight. Still, Zijian managing to survive against so many clothes-stripping monkeys was unexpected. Who would have thought hidden thread stockpile could be so valuable years later? Walking beside Chizhou, Zijian puffed her chest out, walking tall and proud. Humphrey. Damn perverted monkeys, come at me again if you dare. I'll scatter your mom's ashes. This is Chizhou, this is Chizhou, respond if you hear me. Putting away the claw machine, Chizhou shook his head. It was already 1 p.m. 3 hours since picking up Zijian. During this time, they hadn't encountered Lao Yu or Li Huizi. They had run into quite a few exotic beasts along the way. Thankfully, with Chizhou around, he struck with thunderous force every time, slaying them all. The closer they got to the castle, the more numerous and terrifying the exotic beasts became. Hui and the others. They didn't run into trouble, did they? Zijian couldn't help but grow worried. Just then, both Zijian's and Chizhou's claw machines rang at the same time. Mashi Mashi. Chapter 197, Station Forecast. Was there an error? Chizhou found Li Huizi 5 minutes later. Hui, I missed you so much. Zijian threw herself at Li Huizi, teary-eyed. You don't know, I almost got violated by a bunch of monkeys. Woo. They're just a bunch of perverted monkeys who love tearing off people's clothes, pervert monkeys. Li Huizi patted Zijian's back and gently comforted her. Zijian wiped her tears and took a step back. Hui, how did your stockings get torn? The purple silk stockings on Li Huizi's legs, namely the glowing silk stockings Chizhou gave her, were full of ripped holes and runs. Ran into a group of steel claw-age chickens, couldn't beat them. They got torn while I was running away. It's the item Chicken Zhao-kun gave me, and it got wrecked. Li Huizi bowed to Chizhou and sincerely apologized. Chicken Zhao, I'm sorry. As long as you're okay. It's just a pair of stockings. Then, Chizhou pulled out a bottle of basic healing potion and handed it to Li Huizi. Her stockings were torn up this badly, she definitely got hurt. She must have used up the potion he gave her earlier. Li Huizi didn't refuse. She took the potion and carefully put it away. Thanks, Chicken Zhao. By the way, I saw something like a treasure chest in their chicken coop. A treasure chest? Chizhou froze. How could that be? According to the station forecast, there wasn't any treasure chest on this island. Zijian immediately said with righteous indignation, Chizhou, let's go kill that bunch of chickens. We'll avenge Hui and grab the treasure chest too. Forget the revenge. Those steel claw-age chickens are too fierce. No, we have to get revenge. Chi suddenly said sternly, treasure chest or not, they're just chickens. And they had the nerve to bully us. I say they're asking for death. Let's go wipe them all out. Yay! Zhejian cheered. Chicken Zhou. Li Huizi's eyes were full of gratitude. There's a treasure chest in the chicken coop. Humphrey, I want to see if the station forecast really messed up. Steel claw-age chickens are the fiercest chicken-type exotic beasts on this island. Their claws aren't made of steel, but they're tougher than steel. Not just that, the feathers covering their bodies are also incredibly tough. Blades can't leave marks, and bullets don't make a dent. The scariest part is that these chickens move in groups. When a flock of steel claw-age chickens flaps their wings, it's like the sky is falling. The fact that Li Huizi escaped from their claws shows her strength. Their one weakness, when they're using the toilet, they become extremely timid. Even the slightest disturbance around them scares them half to death. Once a steel claw-age chicken gets spooked while pooping, its butthole locks up, and it dies. So when one of them poops, the others crowd around to shield it in the center. Thinking of this, Chi Zhao already had an idea on how to deal with them. He immediately pulled out the yellow train and searched the trading platform for laxatives. The steel claw-age chicken's coop was a semi-covered dome. They built it from their own feathers, mixed with thick chicken spit, wood, and human bones. Not only does it block wind and rain, but because of the feathers, it's super sturdy. Inside the coop, 18 steel claw-age chickens strutted back and forth proudly. They were covered in shiny silver feathers, with terrifying defense. Just then, 2 clothes-stripping monkeys skinned clean fell from the sky and landed right at the coop entrance. Faced with this sudden gourmet drop-in, the steel claw-age chickens froze in a daze. Seeing no danger, they didn't hesitate and dragged them back into the coop to eat. Very quickly, the 2 monkeys were picked clean by the chickens. The leftover monkey bones were mixed with chicken spit to reinforce the coop. Just as they were enjoying a brief post-meal chill time, one steel claw-age chicken's stomach suddenly growled. Then it snapped its eyes open, lifted its neck, and let out a long cry, poop, poop, poop. Its expression changed. It was about to go. Then it ran out of the coop. The others heard the poop calls and followed it. They gathered around it in a tight formation, shielding it from every angle. It relaxed, lifted its butt, and was about to do its business. But just then, the other chickens' stomachs also started to rumble. They too widened their eyes and lifted their necks. Poop, poop, poop. Chaos broke out. Every steel claw-age chicken went into poop mode. But there were no chickens left to guard the others. Because at that moment, they all had to poop. Chi Zhao and the others hid in the shadows, watching it all go down. Zhejian shouted in joy, "They're pooping. Look, they're pooping. This laxative is awesome. Works fast, too." When they rubbed laxatives on the monkeys earlier, Zhejian had been the most enthusiastic. Chi Zhao clicked his tongue. 10 packs of laxatives, that's enough to make 100 adults scrap their guts out. Of course it works fast. Ha ha, poop away, die pooping, for all I care. That's what they get for messing with Hui. Once Chi Zhao saw that all the steel claw-age chickens were pooping, he threw an old master wren. Steel claw-age chickens mid-poop were as fragile as the tail of a Prince Rupert's drop. A silver humanoid creature burst into the flock, swinging its steel claws. It was total chaos. Every steel claw-age chicken clenched its anus, shivered, and dropped dead. They all died of fright. After confirming all the chickens were dead, Chi Zhao crawled out of the bushes. He pulled out a blade and gave one a slash. With a ding. It only left a faint mark. Tough. Seriously tough. The feathers on these chickens had insane defense. If they'd gone in head-on, it would have been a nightmare. This is the benefit of having intel beforehand. When you know your enemy's weakness, you get a chance to win easily. Deeper in the chicken coop, there really was a treasure chest. It wasn't small either, 1 meter long, half a meter tall. Chi Zhao frowned. A real treasure chest? And the station forecast didn't mention it? How's that possible? That's never happened before. And this was a level 30, upgraded station forecast too. Chi Zhao didn't rush in. He sent old Master Ren to jump into the coop. He reached out with both hands and lifted the chest lid. Empty inside. Even though the chest was empty, Chi Zhao let out a sigh of relief. The station forecast hadn't made a mistake. If there had been anything in that chest, Chi Zhao would have been genuinely freaked out. More than getting a treasure chest, Chi Zhao cared more about confirming the station forecast was accurate. Still, it was definitely a real treasure chest, just one that had been opened a long time ago. What? It's empty? Zhejian and Li Huizi were in disbelief. Sorry for making everyone come here for nothing. Li Huizi said, embarrassed. No, it wasn't for nothing. Chi Zhao smiled and said, didn't we just wipe out a bunch of chickens? The main goal of this trip was to verify whether the station forecast was wrong. After collecting the steel claw-aged chickens into the train, they continued on their journey. They still had to find Lao Yu. It was getting dark soon. After nightfall, exotic beasts would show up in huge numbers. Some only appear at night and they're even more dangerous. They had to hurry before the sun went down. They had to find Lao Yu. Chapter 198, Not That, Where's My Tribe? Stop chasing, stop chasing, stop chasing. The kid can't run anymore. Even though Lao Yu was shouting that he couldn't go on, his feet didn't slow down at all. Behind him, a group of exotic beasts were either running or flying after him. The first pustule fly boar that started chasing him, having spent the most stamina, had actually fallen to the rear. It eventually just couldn't keep up and had to give up. Why are there more and more exotic beasts? Along the way, the group chasing Lao Yu kept snowballing bigger and bigger, with lots of beasts jumping in for the fun. Right. I can go invisible. Invisible, invisible, invisible. Back in Zune, Lao Yu could only turn invisible along with his underwear. After these past few days of practice, now he could turn invisible with his shoes and shorts too. Lao Yu took off his shirt and stored it in the golden gourd. Then his figure vanished. A bunch of beasts relying on eyesight to track him lost their target, and after a bit more chase, they gave up. But some exotic beasts with other tracking methods still kept coming after Lao Yu. Like the smell-based green-skinned corpse dogs, the high-frequency echolocation bloodwing bats, and the infrared tracking twin-headed cluck-cluck snake. Still chasing me? You think Lao Yu is easy to bully? Seeing fewer pursuers, Lao Yu stopped just running and started fighting back. He pulled out a grenade from the golden gourd, yanked the pin, and hurled it behind him with all his strength. One green-skinned corpse dog didn't even try to dodge. Instead, it leapt up and did it right in the mouth. Bong! The grenade exploded in its mouth, sending its dog teeth flying. Hee hee, tasty huh, stinky dog. You're so ugly compared to the Black-Winged Grand Marshal. Then Lao Yu pulled out the unlimited ammo shotgun and blasted a bloodwing bat flying at his head. The bat took the hit head-on. One wing got shredded and it crash-landed weakly. Lao Yu kept moving while shooting fire a shot, throw a grenade, change positions. Very soon, he took down every exotic beast that had special tracking abilities. Humphrey, now you know how awesome I am. Lao Yu wiped his nose and said proudly. Just then, a howl rang out from far away. Then came the sound of the earth trembling. Crap, something big's coming. Lao Yu started panicking in his head. His grenades and shotgun had made too much noise and attracted new exotic beasts. It was a worm elephant. Worm elephants are twice the size of a regular elephant. Their trunks aren't really trunks, but earthworms as thick as adult arms. Not just one, but dozens. A mass of wiggling worm trunks, utterly disgusting. Ugh. So gross. Lao Yu didn't even look back. He sprinted like mad toward the castle at the center of the island. If viewed from a god's perspective, Lao Yu had been teleported to the far west side of the island. Which also meant he was the farthest from Chizhou in a straight line. As the sun was just about to set, Lao Yu finally made it to the base of the castle. Huff. 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 He shrank into a corner and pulled out his claw machine, mobile phone. I'm Lao Yu. I've arrived below the castle. Anyone there? Train conductor? Sister's eye? Sister, who is he? Lao Yu gripped the claw machine, desperately hoping to hear the train conductor's voice. They're not here yet. Phew, at least there aren't many exotic beasts around. But the train conductor said to wait outside the castle and not go in. Because inside the castle was the most terrifying humanoid exotic beast. Gurgle. His stomach growled. Lao Yu took out the toast he'd prepared earlier and started eating. 3 slices of toast, slathered with thick layers of chocolate and peanut butter. One bite, and Lao Yu felt immense satisfaction. He hadn't eaten lunch all day, and after all the running, he was starving. Lao Yu munched on the toast, not even caring that peanut butter was smeared on the corners of his mouth. I wonder if the train conductor and the others had dinner yet. He wolfed down the toast in no time, but his stomach still rumbled. Not full. Lao Yu wiped off the peanut butter and licked his fingers. If I knew this, I would have brought more food. So hungry. This is all you're eating? Hearing the voice, Lao Yu looked up. Chizhou was standing right in front of him, smiling. Took you long enough, Lao Yu. See, conductor. Lao Yu threw himself into Chizhou's arms and hugged his belly tightly. What, conductor, I finally found you. I haven't seen you all day, what? Chizhou patted Lao Yu's head, wrapped an arm around his waist, stepped on nanobugs, and flew upward toward the castle with him. A purple train stretched across the top of the castle. Open the door. As Chizhou spoke, the train door opened. He flew in with Lao Yu, then shut the door behind them. That afternoon, they had also been rushing like mad, barely making it to the castle before nightfall. Once night fell, the danger in the forest would multiply. So Qizhao pulled out the purple train they'd seized from Huang Lv Hong. The top of the castle was actually the safest spot. The initial carriage's light was turned off, and in the dense night, the purple train was even harder to spot. Even the phantom gulls flying past didn't notice this massive thing suddenly appearing. Earlier, Qizhao had snuck into the castle looking for the sleeping beauty. Just when he'd gotten the princess hairpin that could open a level 6 treasure chest, the claw machine rang. Lao Yu was here. Qizhao immediately left the castle, found Lao Yu, and brought him back. Sister Zai. Sister, who is he? Inside the carriage, a steaming hot pot sat on the table. They were all eating. Lai Liu, come quick. The pot just started boiling. All the ingredients were brought by Zhejian. Qizhao never imagined this woman actually brought a whole hot pot setup. Tripe, duck intestines, beef aorta, snowflake beef, freshly sliced lamb, spinach, crispy tofu rolls. A dazzling variety of hot pot ingredients, neatly arranged, abundant and filling. Lao Yu couldn't help but swallow his drool, tears leaking from the corners of his mouth. In this dangerous, bizarre paradise island, the group was eating hot pot and singing songs. Now that everyone was gathered, Qizhao could finally relax completely. Thankfully, despite the danger, everyone was okay. Now they just had to wait for the latest departure, and they'd be transported back to their original train. Of course, they couldn't waste the remaining time either. Tonight they'd head out to hunt some exotic beasts and bring them back for compost. But first fill their stomachs. Thinking that, Qizhao picked up a piece of tripe from the pot and chowed down. Zhejian, Lao Yu, and Li Huizi chatted happily, until she reached in with her chopsticks and froze. Wait, where's my tripe? Chapter 199, a magical multi-use fertilizer harvest. In the next carriage, 2 auto compost bins were still working hard. They were tirelessly converting those clothes-stripping monkeys, steel chlorage chickens, and blood-skin tigers into magical multi-use fertilizer. However, there were still quite a few parts the compost bins couldn't process. Like monkey fur, chicken feathers, chicken claws, tiger fangs, etc. These things just piled up at the bottom of the bins. After Zhejian cleaned them out, she tossed in 3 more clothes-stripping monkeys. She shut the lid, pressed the process button, and clapped her hands. Humphrey, chase me? You think you can just chase me whenever you want? Feeling good now, huh? You're just a piece of skin left. After dinner, Qizhao, Lao Yu, and Li Huizi went out hunting. Only Zhejian was left behind to guard the train and handle the exotic beasts. These tiger fangs and chicken claws can be put on the trading platform too, even if they're not worth much. After Zhejian listed them for trade, someone named Huang Feng replied. I told you, 20 train coins per unit. Maybe a little room to bargain. You fucking cut my price in half? Bro, that's not how you haggle. Before leaving, Qizhao had reminded Zhejian to buy a few more auto compost bins. There were just too many exotic beast corpses. 2 compost bins clearly weren't enough. The peach tree saplings needed a lot of fertilizer, and buying processing tools was cheaper than buying magical multi-use fertilizer directly. It was all about self-production and self-sale. So the task of procurement was handed over to Zhejian. Come on, big bro, this isn't brand new. Who knows how long you've used it? Any dents? Any scratches? Is the processing speed still as fast as a new one? How's the maintenance? Any screen damage? Faced with this barrage of questions, Huang Feng's head was about to explode. Dealing with a woman? Always a pain. Alright, I get it. You're not here to buy anything. You're here to stir shit up. No, big bro. I really do want to buy. I'm not just buying one. However many you've got, I'll take them all. How about it? I've got the money ready. You change the price on your end, and I'll make the deal on mine. What? Take them all? That's right. Huang Feng was desperate for train coins. He gritted his teeth and changed all the prices to 10 train coins per unit. In the end, Zhejian bought 7 auto compost bins at 10 train coins apiece. After taking them out and checking each one to make sure there were no issues, she started processing fertilizer. Ugh. So heavy. Zhejian picked up a blood-skin tiger leg that Qizhao had cut earlier and tossed it into an empty compost bin. Damn, that must weigh at least 200 pounds. Qizhao, that guy, couldn't he have chopped it into smaller pieces? Seriously, doesn't even consider whether I can lift it. Nope. After Huizi came back from the Demon Slayer world the other day, she started working out with Qizhao in the gravity carriage. I've got to start training too. After loading all 7 empty auto compost bins with exotic beast corpses, Zhejian collapsed on the ground in a big starfish pose. She gasped for air, her chest rising and falling. Fuck, I'm exhausted. Why aren't they back yet? Where the hell are they hunting? After night fell on Paradise Island, extreme darkness set in. No moon or stars in the sky. Maybe this world never had a moon or stars to begin with. All sorts of exotic beasts that hunt under the cover of night began to appear. Like the gorilla serpent, human-faced bat, and shadow hound. They hid in the dark, waiting to strike. Conductor, incoming. In the silent forest, Lao Yu's shout rang out, followed by a flash of light. Trailing behind him was a snake as thick as a water barrel. Lao Yu dashed past, and Chi Zhou, Li Huizi, and Old Master Ren leaped down from the trees. Flame-breathing, third form, blazing universe. Sakura-breathing, cherry blossom whirl, graceful dance of the flower. Laser claws. The giant snake was instantly sliced into 3 parts. Chi Zhou followed up with another slash, his long sword piercing straight into the snake's head. Lao Yu bent over, bracing his knees, gasping hard. This was the 5th exotic beast he'd lured in. And each one was stronger than the last. Li Huizi placed her hand on the giant snake's body and stored it into her silk stockings. The black silk from Zijian's leg was now being worn by Li Huizi. That's enough, I'll head back first. My storage items are all full. Stay hidden. I'll be right back. Chi Zhou stored the longest remaining piece of the snake into his boundary bracelet, then took the silk stockings Li Huizi had taken off and flew back to the castle. When the train door opened, Chi Zhou saw 9 compost bins working non-stop and raised an eyebrow. All those clothes-stripping monkeys, steel-claw-aged chickens, and blood-skinned tigers they killed were gone. In their place were barrels of freshly processed magical multi-use fertilizer. And Zijian, from sheer exhaustion, had fallen asleep on the floor. Alright then, judging by this girl hasn't been slacking off while we were gone. Chi Zhou picked up a blanket and gently covered Zijian with it. Then he unloaded all the exotic beast corpses from his boundary bracelet, golden gourd, and black silk, and stacked them in the next carriage before heading off. Half an hour later, Zijian slowly opened her eyes. She smacked her lips, waking up from thirst. That hot pot earlier had been too salty. When she saw the blanket over her, she looked puzzled. I fell asleep? Who put this blanket on me? Soon, she saw the message left on her claw machine, phone, from Chi Zhou, nice work. The stuff is in the next carriage. Get that to processing when you wake up. Fuck? So it was that guy. Still new to give me a blanket, huh? Humphrey. This guy. Maybe he's not that bad after all. Zijian got up, packed away the blanket, and cheerfully opened the next carriage door. Thud. A giant snakehead tumbled down from a mountain of exotic beast corpses, leaving Zijian completely stunned. Shit. That night, both trains were filled to the brim with exotic beast corpses. Including Zijian's 10 trading slots, Li Huizi's 10, and another 10 in the shared transfer slots from the special trade relationship they had with Chi Zhou, a total of 30 trading slots, all full of exotic beast corpses. The boundary bracelet, golden gourd, and black silk were all maxed out too. The 9 auto compost bins were running non-stop but still couldn't keep up. The excess corpses? Zijian traded them away. In return, she got metal, plastic, and other upgrade materials. And a few order coins. But even then, the open area around the castle was still piled with exotic beast bodies. Thanks to the station forecast and its Paradise Island Exotic Beasts Compendium, Chi Zhou's team knew each beast's weakness. Targeting their weak points made the hunt safe, efficient, and effortless. That's how they were able to kill so many so quickly. Chi Zhou looked at his claw machine, calculating the time. Just 10 minutes left until the train's maximum stop time. When that hits, they'd be teleported back to the train. But to maximize profits, Chi Zhou used anchor point rewind and went back early. Back on the train, Chi Zhou received all the exotic beast corpses Zijian had transferred. Then she kept sending more. Just like that one sending, one receiving the exotic beast corpses flowed steadily into Chi Zhou's train. 10 minutes later, Zijian, Lao Yu, and Li Huizi appeared in the train again. Time was up, they'd been teleported back. Conductor. Lao Yu ran over with the golden gourd. I did as you said last 30 seconds, I stored the yellow train you left us into the golden gourd. And all those exotic beasts too, not a single one missed. Good job. Chi Zhou smiled. Zijian, meanwhile, looked absolutely dead. Nope, I need a shower and sleep. These past 2 days and 1 night I'm wiped out. Kui, come on, let's shower together. Wait a second, I'll go check on Huo first. Li Huizi said, then went to find the little fire dragon. As the carriage door slid open, little fire dragon came out crying. The black wind monster was chasing right behind, tongue out, panting ha-ha non-stop. Li Huizi scooped up little fire dragon and immediately felt its butt was damp and stinky. Chapter 200, Zhang Zuan adds a new game rule in the bathroom. Zhejian and Li Huizi were bathing Little Fire Dragon. Zhejian looked completely speechless. What has Black Wind Monster been doing these past 2 days? Even managed to marinate Little Fire Dragon. Little Fire Dragon, woo woo woo. Li Huizi chuckled. Dogs are all like that, aren't they? They love licking people. Ugh, so stinky, so stinky. Did it get peed on again? The two of them put in serious effort and finally got Little Fire Dragon clean, then went back to the bedroom to dry him off. Zhejian noticed a hint of worry between Li Huizi's brows and proactively asked, "What's wrong, Hui?" "Huh? It's nothing, I was just thinking about how Chicken Zhao knew we'd be gone this long. If he hadn't prepared food and water in advance for Huo and Blackie, they'd definitely have starved by now. PFFT, I thought it was something serious. You know about special modules, right? Like my station reward one." Li Huizi nodded. "Yeah, you mentioned it before. There are 12 types of special modules, right? I'm not mistaken, am I?" "That's right," Zhejian said proudly. "The other day in the water group, I heard someone mention a special module called Station Forecast. It can tell you in advance where the train's next stop will be." A look of confusion appeared on Li Huizi's face. "Station Forecast? Exactly. I think Shi Zhao definitely has that special module. That guy thinks he's so slick, always being cautious, even hiding from us with his screen. This stop totally gave him away. He knows where the train will stop tomorrow, so he can gather station info ahead of time and prepare. That catalog yesterday must have been something he gathered beforehand. So that's it." Li Huizi nodded, suddenly understanding. "Right. Like last time at that stinky beach, Shi Zhao had already bought filter masks in advance." "Exactly. After all, special modules are super rare. You can't let people find out. That guy's so careful, I get it." As someone who also had a special module, Zhejian could understand Shi Zhao. "Got it, I won't tell anyone." Li Huizi's eyes lit up as she promised. After dinner, Zhejian flopped onto the spring mattress and stretched out lazily. She had already logged back into her account before dinner. Now she called up her screen, planning to surf the water group before bed. Hui's so dedicated, still off training with Shi Zhao. "Forget it, I've been exhausted these past 2 days. Better rest first. I'll work out tomorrow." With that excuse in place, Zhejian relaxed and joined the water group. Just then, a message popped up. Train conductor Zhang Zuan of train number 000002 has added a new rule to the train survival game. Details of the rule: the 6th train survival game, originally scheduled 10 years later, will start early in 3 days. Zhejian froze. What the heck, a scam message? She didn't think much of it and clicked into the chat room. The chat room had exploded. Everyone was discussing the early start of the 6th round. What's going on? Another new rule? Doesn't seem to concern us. What does the 6th round have to do with me? No way, we 5th rounders are already having a rough time, and now the next batch is coming to snatch our resources? Something's not right. It doesn't seem like a scam. Everyone got the message? She quickly rushed to the gravity carriage. Shi Zhao was doing squats, and Li Huizi was running on the treadmill. The moment she stepped into the gravity carriage, Zhejian felt her body grow heavy. "Shi Zhao, quick! Did you get a message about a new game rule?" Hearing this, Shi Zhao raised his hand and called up the screen. When he saw the message, his pupils shrank sharply. Not because of the new rule but because of the name. Zhang Zuan. The person the hot pot restaurant manager had asked him to find. A 4th round player, and a man who, like him, had station forecast. Since coming to the new world, Shi Zhao had never given up looking for Zhang Zuan. Every time he reached a new station, joined a new chatroom, he searched for the guy. There was one time he actually ran into someone named Zhang Zuan. But that guy was a bald, big-eared, squinty-eyed, chubby man. Obviously not the Zhang Zuan Shi Zhao was looking for. But this one, it's probably him. Adding a new rule to the game? How did he manage that? The 6th round that was supposed to be 10 years away. Starting in 3 days? What's the purpose behind this new rule? On the azure sea stood a towering iceberg. The iceberg looked like a natural sculpture. Its top was flat, sides steep like a massive pyramid made of ice. At the base, the sea sparkled under the light, the bright blue ocean contrasting starkly with the pure white snow. At the summit of the iceberg, 2 men stood 5 meters apart. The man on the left wore black and had a tall, straight posture. He had sharp eyebrows and starry eyes, his presence commanding. The man on the right wore a loose white martial arts robe and was slightly shorter. He had long white hair, but his blue eyes sparkled with vitality, spirited and alert. "King, still chasing?" Zhang Zuan spread his hands, smiling. "I no longer have the qualification." The king's eyes revealed no emotion. "One chance per person and you used it for this? You sound disappointed." You could have done something far more meaningful with it. I think this is pretty meaningful. Though. I do feel a little sorry for her. Zhang Zuan's face showed deep recollection, his eyes full of guilt. The king sighed softly. One day, you'll understand me. Zhang Zuan shook his head with a smile. Humans are humans. A person can never become a god. The king said nothing more. The two stared at each other for a long while before the king turned and left. Zhang Zuan's lips curved upward, and he turned to leave as well. They walked away from each other, step by determined step. Neither looked back. Chapter 201, this is basically Fing 1. Qi Zhao stared at the message on the screen, his brows slightly furrowed. Zhang Zuan just who exactly is he? Qi Zhao had been investigating him in secret before, but progress was slow. Now, he finally had a reason to go all out gathering intel on the guy. Qi Zhao worked on 3 fronts. From Orderly Heaven, he reached out to Ziyuan. From the Freedom Organization, he got in touch with Kong Yu. And the messy chatroom messages were left to Zhejian to extract the important bits. Before long, he had a general grasp of Zhang Zuan's identity and past. Zhang Zuan, a player from the 4th round. He possessed the special module station forecast. He had once been specially recruited by Elsa, the current chief of the personnel department of Orderly Heaven. He was that year's brilliant rising star. Later, he joined the capture division, and in just a year and a half, he was promoted to vice chief. 2 years after that, he directly became the youngest chief of the capture division in the history of Orderly Heaven. During his tenure, the period was even dubbed the Great Peace Era. Countless wanted criminals were either captured or killed by him. But not long after, he defected from Orderly Heaven and founded Fire Stealers. Fire Stealers had only 13 members, not many, but all of them were level 1 wanted criminals of Orderly Heaven. And Zhang Zuan himself was a special class wanted criminal. Fire Stealers had once nearly toppled Paradise, but were forced into hiding after losing to Orderly Heaven. They hadn't surfaced in years and were nearly forgotten. Then just a few days ago, the Freedom Organization ambushed Yurden, and 3 days later, Paradise was attacked. The organization that once made Paradise tremble, Fire Stealers along with its leader Zhang Zuan, appeared in public once again. Not only that, he even added new rules to the game. But most people couldn't understand the point of the rule Zhang Zuan added. Qi Zhao included. He couldn't figure it out. Why bring the next round of the game forward? What was he trying to do? Paradise. What exactly is Paradise? Why is Zhang Zuan so fixated on it? Did he found Fire Stealers just to destroy Paradise? According to Kong Yu, the Freedom Organization's goal was to overthrow Orderly Heaven's rule. Paradise seemed to fall under Orderly Heaven's management too. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, so now Fire Stealers and the Freedom Organization have teamed up. Zhejian, focus on digging into these keywords. Order, Paradise, Freedom, Fire Stealers. Zhejian's eyes sparkled with stars. My eyes are about to go blind. Even people who never speak are piping up. There's like 10 times the usual amount of messages. I can't. Do we have any eye drops? Quick, give me 2 buckets. The bonded ring vibrated slightly. Kong Yu had replied too. The information about Zhang Zuan matched what Qi Zhao had dug up from other sources. So, what did Paradise do to him that he's so hellbent on destroying it? Qi Zhao voiced his doubt. No idea. We're just in a cooperative relationship. I don't know much about his personal life. Is that so? You haven't been to Paradise yet, have you? Yeah, never been. I've only heard it's some kind of public station. Paradise used to be a public station, but Orderly Heaven used special means to link it with Yurden. Now, if you want to enter Paradise, you have to stay in Yurden for at least 72 hours. Paradise is basically a giant pleasure zone. As long as you have enough train coins, you can buy almost anything there. Permanent residence, permits, gourmet food, fine wine, women, men, elves, succubi. Trains, items, treasure chests, cultivation methods, high-tech products. But that's all just surface level. The real purpose of Paradise is to be a safe haven for the weak and greedy. In other words, the old players from the 1st and 2nd rounds. They amassed massive resources, some even gained incredibly long lifespans. So they started acting all high and mighty, looking down on newcomers. With the advantage of arriving early, they oppressed and exploited players from later rounds. The old farts who founded Orderly Heaven are all hiding out in Paradise now, enjoying endless wealth and pleasure. What they're living off is the blood of us conductors from the later rounds. The number of organizations they've wiped out is uncountable. There was once a group called Utopia, 3,400 members. Not a single one survived. Utopia? Isn't that the online bounty platform? No, before that. In the 3rd round, there was another group named Utopia. They were all about sharing station info for free. Orderly Heaven accused them of spreading false intel and endangering conductors, and slaughtered every single member. The real reason was, their free info sharing cut into the sales of Orderly Heaven's intel locks. It hurt their profits. Chizhao fell silent reading this. First come, first serve? More like first come, first rule. We're all equals. Why does showing up first make you king of the mountain? Public stations were meant to be rest stops for everyone. Now it's just Orderly Heaven's backyard. Humans need order, I get that. But not this kind of order. What we have to do is bring back freedom and fairness to this game. You're right, Sister Yu. Order is truly vile. Order and I are sworn enemies. Long live freedom. Chizhao replied passionately. By the way, Sister Yu, how did he manage to add a new rule to the game? That was what Chizhao really wanted to know. He had a pretty good guess, but needed confirmation. Reach max level, and activate a full set of 12 Zodiac silver coins. That lets you add one new rule to the game. Each person only gets one shot. So it was the silver coins. Chizhao had suspected it was related to silver coins, but didn't realize max level was required too. Now that he had confirmation, Chizhao was even more confused. Just one shot like a wish. And Zhang Zuan used his wish on this? Or maybe. Why did he start the next round of the game early? Because Orderly Heaven had been frequently entering the inner realm. Once we caught wind of that, we began investigating. Then we discovered they were bringing in massive supplies, laying groundwork in the inner realm to absorb all players from round 6, 10 years later. Think about it, 100 million newbies. Even if they get 10%, that's 10 million. By then, we might never be able to take them down. So that's what it was. So Xia Yuan's inner realm trip was all about this. Do you think Orderly Heaven recruited you for who you are? No, they wanted your qualification. Silver coins are rare. Activating them means you have the right to add rules to the game. They keep those with qualifications under their control, making sure they never gather a full set or reach max level. That's how they keep their supremacy unshaken. Remember, for us latecomers, this is our one shot to flip the game. As long as you hold the qualification, they'll be afraid. And when they're afraid, they'll try to control you. Wait a minute, if it were me, I'd just kill the qualified person. Wouldn't that solve everything? Chizhao voiced his confusion out loud. Because the total number of silver coins is limited. If you die, the activated silver coins return to the world. Someone else could find them. They don't want to take that risk. Chizhao nodded. I see. Got it now. Oh right, Sister Yu, since you're working together, are you close to Zhang Zun? Not really. He's the leader of Fire Stealers. He only contacts our boss directly. People like us below don't get to interact with him. You're being too modest, Sister Yu. No way you're below. Someone like me is the real bottom feeder. I told you to stand, not to kneel. Yes, ma'am. Ah, what a shame. If only Kong Yu knew Zhang Zuan, it would have opened another door. After all, Chizhao still had that photo the shopkeeper gave him. Could have been a solid offering. But only if the guy hasn't ditched the shopkeeper. If he's already got women all around him, then that'd just be awkward. As intel from all three sides converged, Chizhao gradually untangled the web of grudges between these groups. Somehow, an anime popped into his mind. Wait a minute, I think I've got it. Orderly Heaven is the Navy, Paradise is the Celestial Dragons. The Freedom Organization is the Pirates, and Fire Stealers are the Revolutionary Army. Chizhao's face lit up with realization. He was finally starting to understand it all. This is basically Thing 1. Chapter 202, Orderly Heaven. The 12 departments gather the new game rule. The 6th round of the train survival game, originally set for 10 years later, will begin in advance 3 days from now. The moment this news dropped, it was like a stone thrown into the sea, and the ripples kept spreading. At the topmost structure of Dream Palace, the Hall of Order, the conference hall. Inside the meeting room, a round table shaped like a clock dial, with 12 chairs arranged in a circle. Last time, only 3 people showed up. But this time, every single chair was filled. Elsa, Chief of the Personnel Department. Dong Haizui, Chief of the Capture Division. Zhang Nan, Chief Inspector. Chief of the Order Tribunal. As well as the heads of the Silver Coin Recovery Department, responsible for finding and retrieving silver coins, the Treasure Hunt Department, which locates treasure chests and keys, and the Special Division Crimson tasked with handling defectors. Plus Finance, Infrastructure, Trade, Internal Affairs, and Anti-Corruption departments. A total of 12 department heads were all present. In the center of the round table, a holographic projection displayed a man's face. The man had sword-like brows, starry eyes, a high nose bridge, and lips curled slightly upward. Leader of Fire Stealers Zhang Zuan. Everyone in the room wore a complex expression when they saw that face. Some had only been colleagues with him. Some had never crossed paths he'd defected before they even took office. Some had once been mentored by him. And some had been his disciples. Zhang Nan looked at Elsa with a face full of let's see how you explain this smugness. Zhang Zuan had been her personal recruit back then. Yet this guy not only defected, he even formed an organization to fight against orderly heaven. Because of this, when Elsa was appointed chief of personnel, Zhang Nan had publicly opposed it. He believed Elsa lacked judgment and didn't deserve the position. Unfortunately, the king favored Elsa, so Zhang Nan's protest amounted to nothing. Last time, when Dream Palace was attacked, Zhang Nan had wanted to bring it up again, to undermine Elsa. But remembering the king's stance, he swallowed his words. Now, finally after 3 years of silence, Zhang Zuan and his fire stealers were back. And they'd added a new game rule that was extremely detrimental to orderly heaven. Even if the king shows up later, I'm bringing this up again. Elsa, this fine recruit of yours, don't think you can stay out of it and wash your hands clean. Compared to Zhang Nan's smug posturing, Elsa's brows beneath her white lace eye mask knit slightly. Zhang Zuan, so you've finally returned. What really happened back then? Why won't you say it? What misunderstanding lies between you and orderly heaven? Dong Haizui, unlike Elsa, was wearing a full-on scowl. Seeing that familiar face made her clench her fists. Master, one day, I will personally capture you. But before that, don't let those stinking rats from Crimson get to you first. At that thought, she looked toward the 4 o'clock position. Seated there was the leader of Crimson. Every Crimson leader in history had no name, only a code name. Their purpose, to execute anyone who betrays orderly heaven. Put simply, once you're on Crimson's list, you're as good as dead. Crimson reports directly to the ruler of paradise, not to the king. Zhang Nan slammed the table and shouted, I propose we add a new rule, abolish Zhang Zuan's rule. You think you can just abolish it like that? How do you even know they only have 1 set of silver coins? If we burn one of ours to counter his, what if they've got more? So we're just gonna keep countering forever? Our silver coins aren't infinite. As soon as Zhang Nan voiced his opinion, several people opposed it. How will we know if we don't try? Are we gonna back down just cause we're scared? That's cowardice. You said it yourself, silver coins are rare. I refuse to believe they've got 2 sets. Fire stealers have been hiding for 3 years. They've reappeared now and teamed up with the Freedom Organization. They've definitely come fully prepared. We shouldn't waste our silver coins on this. If this round's a bust, then so be it. We still need to keep prepping. Change the 6th round newbie plan to target the 7th round instead. What's the difference? The 6th round ends, and 10 years later the 7th begins, just a 1-month gap in between. The discussion became intensely heated, with everyone voicing different opinions. Where's the king? Why isn't the king back yet? They all knew that without the king, continuing to argue was pointless. The final decision lay with him. Also, how was our plan exposed? There's definitely a mole in the organization. We need a thorough, top-to-bottom inspection, no exceptions. Orderly heaven has been operating for so long, and the number of personnel keeps increasing. Some monsters were bound to slip through. Especially this batch of special recruits. They've all had contact with the Freedom Organization, and they're dumb enough to fall for their tricks. They're the most likely traitors. Someone immediately countered, but Chief Inspector Zhang Nan, these people are all at the lowest ranks. They wouldn't have access to such top-secret plans. Chapter 203, The Great Train Era. Zhang Nan. He tugged at his tie, looking a bit awkward. Ahem. Of course, if you put it that way, it's not wrong. But with so many departments and people involved in this plan, it's inevitable that one link might leak. Or perhaps the enemy used some item or skill to find out. Can't rule that out either. What matters now isn't how the information got out, but how we deal with it. Dong Haizui let out a cold snort. Deal with it? How? Just 3 days. Preparations alone need at least 3 years to complete. The only way to deal with it is to use silver coins to counter the rule. Anyway, new rules will override old ones. So who's going? Chief Zhang, are you willing to represent us? Perfect timing, you haven't used your chance yet. Being jabbed like that by Dong Haizui made Zhang Nan's face turn grim. Facing everyone's gazes, some expectant, some amused, some curious, he cleared his throat and spoke, as long as the organization needs it, I won't hesitate. Those who disrupt order must be struck hard. This opportunity I have is a gift from order. Using it to maintain order is only right. As long as the king gives the word, I'll go get the silver coins and cancel out the rule. Zhang Zuan added with a new one. Well said. The king's figure suddenly appeared on the conference table. Everyone was startled. The projection of Zhang Zuan shut off with a wave of the king's hand. Your Majesty. The 12 department chiefs immediately stood and bowed deeply. Zhang Nan bowed even lower, not daring to look the king in the eye. He'd just been boasting like hell, And now this old guy had to show up of all times. Why now? Damn it. The king waved for them to sit down. Once everyone was seated again, the king said coldly, "Do you know why I called you all here?" Without waiting for a reply, the king continued on his own, "I've already found out. The one who leaked the Great Train plan is among you." Everyone's head shot up, all eyes on the king standing on the table. Then their gazes began darting between each other. "Who is it?" Zhang Nan was the first to speak, betraying order. "How bold of you. Your Majesty, use the honest mirror. One of the king's tools, mirror of absolute honesty. Anyone who speaks in front of it cannot lie." Zhang Nan was full of confidence, because he knew he wasn't the one who leaked it, hence the passion. The king shook his head and said calmly, "He came today, so clearly he's confident, not afraid of exposure. The honest mirror won't help. He already used special means to erase everything related to the leak from his memory." A collective gasp filled the room. So the king had already investigated this thoroughly. "Elsa, use your ability. See who here has had their memory tampered with recently." Everyone was stunned again. With that, the king had also ruled Elsa out as a suspect. Zhang Nan sighed inwardly. He thought it might have been her. What a shame. "I'm definitely not the traitor, so who is it? Among the 10 remaining people, who's most likely?" Zhang Nan's gaze swept over the 10 others, trying to catch a flicker of emotion. Dong Haizui still had his arms crossed, face cold as ever. Crimson's face was hidden beneath a huge hood, no expression visible there either. Finance Chief King Shan, a white-haired old man, had his eyes half closed like he was about to doze off. Not just Zhang Nan, everyone was quietly sizing up the others. Elsa, having received the king's command, removed her white lace eye mask and stood. Between her tightly shut eyes, her brow opened to reveal a third vertical eye. That eye didn't seem creepy, it looked divine. When the vertical eye fully opened, Elsa began scanning everyone in the room. Her gaze passed over Dong Haizui, King Shan, Crimson, and then paused on Zhang Nan. For the others, she stopped at most 10 seconds. But when she reached Zhang Nan, she stared for over half a minute. Her prolonged look drew everyone's attention. Now Zhang Nan was sweating. He felt like an ant on a hot pan. He sat upright, trying to prove he had nothing to hide. A full minute passed. Zhang Nan couldn't sit still any longer. Hey. Is there something wrong with my memory? Why are you looking at me so long?" He was clearly nervous. This Elsa, she was totally taking personal revenge. No, wait, she's not the kind to pull that in this kind of situation. Then why was she staring at me like that? Wait a minute. Could I actually be the traitor? There is something off, but not recent. You had a piece of your memory tampered with. 20 years ago. Huh? Now Zhang Nan was the one stunned. 20 years ago, my memory was tampered with. Before he could recall anything, the king spoke. "That one, I know I did it. When Zhang Nan went undercover in Utopia, I tweaked his memory a bit. To wipe out those Utopia scumbags so thoroughly, Zhang Nan deserves great credit." Upon hearing that, Zhang Nan slapped the table. "Right. Your Majesty, I'd totally forgotten. That was top secret, only you and I knew." He immediately lifted his chin, looking relaxed and proud. "Like, see? I'm clean. What are you staring at?" Elsa nodded and moved on to the next person. Her vertical eye swept across the infrastructure chief, the internal affairs chief, the integrity chief. Finally, her gaze stopped on the trade chief. It was the trade chief. She looked stunned, full of shock and confusion. Before she could speak, the crimson leader waved his hand, and a birdcage dropped from the sky, trapping her inside. Then the cage began to shrink, compressing with the trade chief inside. In the blink of an eye, the huge cage shrunk to a model small enough to sit in a palm. He tucked the birdcage into his massive robe and nodded at the king. The king said nothing, simply moving on like nothing had happened. "Elsa, look for a replacement. Can't leave the trade chief seat empty for long. Our airship port connection plan with Zune is crucial. It'll determine whether we succeed in taking control of Zune." "Understood, Your Majesty. I'll arrange it as soon as possible." Elsa returned to her seat. Her third eye closed, and she put her mask back on. No one expected it to be the trade chief. The room was filled with turmoil. Had the enemy really infiltrated this deeply? Even the department chief was compromised. About that new rule that got added. Here it comes finally back on topic. Everyone sat up straight. Especially Zhang Nan. If they really were going to cancel the rule, then all that bluffing earlier would have to come true. This was a once-in-a-lifetime chance. Using it here would be total overkill, like firing a cannon at a mosquito. Please don't go with the rule cancel. I really don't want to waste such a precious chance. Should have kept my mouth shut earlier. My bad. Zhang Nan was silently crying inside. In the 2 seconds the king paused, Zhang Nan felt like a convict waiting for sentencing. Every second dragged. If the 6th round starts early, so be it. No need to waste a set of silver coins to cancel it. For humanity. For the future. Our silver coins need to be used at the right time for more meaningful purposes. Hearing that, Zhang Nan breathed a huge sigh of relief. Thank God, my chance is safe. Each department, proceed as planned with the Great Drain Project. Prepare enough water and food. And enough resources for 100 million people to reach level 10. We must ensure every newcomer hits level 10 before the 12-day internship ends. That way, the train coin reward will be 10 coins each. When our megatrain with 10 billion carriages is built, we'll officially enter the Great Train era. Everyone stood and shouted in unison, for humanity. For the future. Alright, the rest of you may leave. Elsa, stay. The meeting ended quickly, and everyone filed out. The massive conference room was left with only the king, Elsa, and Crimson. Then Crimson pulled out the bird cage and tossed it into the air. The trade chief was released. But she had already passed out. Your Majesty. Elsa was full of doubt and couldn't help asking. Because the trade chief's memory hadn't been tampered with. The real reason she pointed her out was that, before the meeting, the king had secretly assigned her to. I know you're confused, but actually, there is no traitor. The king answered Elsa's doubt. No, wait. That's not quite right either. There is a traitor, and that traitor is me. The king smiled. The Great Train Project. I leaked it on purpose. Elsa's lips parted slightly, her face full of disbelief. They've been silent for so many years, I've been on edge. Who knows how many silver coins they've hoarded by now. This time, the goal was to force them to use up those coins. The fact they dared storm Paradise and snatch the Boar silver coin shows they only had one set at most. And the fact that Zhang Xuan himself used it proves that. The king stepped down from the table and walked over to the trade chief. As for her, he looked down at the trade chief on the ground and snorted. She's just been way too greedy.